Black Magic Woman podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on. We also acknowledge traditional owners of the land where you, the listener or viewer, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to our elders past and present and acknowledge that this always was Aboriginal land and always will be Aboriginal land.
I love that about our mob too, We might live in a modern context, but we still operate on our kinship terms of reference and, try and keep that as strong as possible and that respect in that good way too.
Welcome to the Black Magic Woman podcast with Mundanara Bales.
Welcome to a very exciting episode of the Black Magic Woman podcast. I can't wait for you to hear all about my guest today. This episode has been freaking a long time and I'm already getting excited. When I say freaking, I'm excited. A long time in the making. I've got my sister from childhood, long time ago, when we were dancing up at Woodford Festival. So anyone that used to do Woodford Festival, Mullaney Festival, you would have saw not just this beautiful woman sitting next to me, but also would have remembered one of our songmen as well. So this episode's going to be special. I can't wait for you to hear. This is Samala, also known as MumRed the Label, just flew in from Darwin, from the Darwin Art Fair, also known as DAF. So we're going to dive all into that. But before we do, my sister, we are on the beautiful lands, unceded lands of the Kulin Nations here in Naarm. I just want to acknowledge the mob here. I've been here for a couple of days. You're now living here, and I just can't wait to get people to hear your story and everything that you've been doing and what you've achieved. So over to you, my sister. The microphone is yours. Tell these fellas who your mob is, where you grew up, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, my mob, thank you, my sister, for that beautiful introduction. My mother's from Fraser Island and Keppel Islands, only known for a very short period of history as Fraser Island. We call it Gary. And my dad, like you said, was a strong, staunch cultural man, and he came from Mornington Island in the Gulf of Carpentaria, and we spent a lot of time together as children, dancing, practicing culture, travelling a lot, and
just running amok as kids do.
Redfern,
best times,
Brisbane. I remember us being at Musgrave Park. My probably earliest memory, but 3 years old, and Uncle Doug Curry was walking around with a bucket full of oranges that were frozen to hand out to us kids because it was so hot, but we'd been dancing all day. Yeah, good memories.
Oh. So you're literally, when I think about you, I think about all the countries you visited, right? This is how I think about you. When I explain my sister to people, I say, man, this girl's been all around the world. She's met royalty. She's stayed in Paris. She's been invited to VIP parties. She's represented our people and culture on the international stage. And now going into fashion, I'll tell you now, Tiger Lily, you better do a shout out for Tiger Lily. We'll never forget you for teaching her how to weave. That's a fondest memory, and your little connection with her.
Tiger Lily is my darling. I love her so much. I love you, baby. If you're watching this, Annie has presents coming for you. I already gave them to Mum. So this, my darling, was inspired by your mama, and she's the Rainbow Woman. And she actually asked me to kind of put this onto merch a couple of months ago, so I had to do it. But my label, MumRed, isn't actually about the printed stuff. I went to a runway show about 2 years ago, and I saw such fire and strength in our people coming down that runway in a way that had never been represented before. And it literally, I had an emotive response. I started crying. I sat there, and it was black photographers, it was black models, it was black clothing, it was black brands, and
black stylists, black makeup artists,
black everything.
It was just blacked out.
It was, and it was just like, this is the beauty of our people. And I think last year was really difficult for me after having such a very long history of I have travelled a lot and I've had amazing opportunities to meet amazing people around the world, and all of that has come as a result of, us fighting for country. And as you know, I did native title for a long time, so I was lead applicant on our native title claim for 13 years for my family line, and then we got a successful consent determination in 2021.
Big congratulations, huge achievement.
Thank you, Marcia.
And it still hasn't finished. The fight's still there.
Fight's still there. Actually, native title claim number 2 just got registered, and my family put me up on that. Here we go again. But I actually did try and step back last year because the referendum, I feel, was very heavy on a lot of our mob. And for me personally, I felt like we were a part of a conversation that was drowning our voices out at the same time it was supposed to give us one. And I came to the conclusion, how can they hear us if they can't even see us? And while it was so deadly for me to see all of these brands and different styles of clothing represented on that runway, I had noticed when I was sitting there that something was missing. And it was our traditional resources. Where's the skin? Where's the fur? Where's the feathers? Where's the weaving? Where's the quill work? Where's the shells? Like little bits of adornment, but not actually in the clothes. And so I decided to challenge myself and see if I could take the skills that I've learnt over my lifetime, sitting with my old people, learning how to weave and tie feathers and work the sinew and chew it. And,
When we're talking about sinew, we're talking about kangaroo.
Yeah, we're talking about kangaroo.
Yeah, the insides of a kangaroo that holds the muscles together, that's sinew.
Yeah, that's
so when
sinew.
you ever get kangaroo meat and it's a bit chewy, that's sinewy.
Yeah, that's it.
So Samala's talking about using the sinew from the roo to then tie pieces together. This is definitely for non-mob that have no idea that you're talking about using animal, but we don't waste anything.
No. And so I have 3 eskies in the back of my 4-wheel drive. One's for reptiles, one's for mammals, and the other one's for birds. So I think it's... Yeah, these hands don't mind getting dirty, I'm sorry.
I know, I saw you just trying to cut that old man goanna up. Remember we found that goanna?
Oh, my God. You and Peace come in with it too.
He was literally got hit. We had to not put him out of his misery.
Yep.
And I wanted that belly fat, eh?
Yep, I had to get the poison
but
bag
we
out.
didn't have a knife sharp enough. We couldn't get through.
Well, Yarrika didn't have a knife.
Yarrika.
Yarrika didn't have a knife sharp enough.
Reptiles, birds and mammals. I love this.
Yeah. So I treat them all. I take them home. I salt them. I wash them. I soak them in eucalyptus. And then I use them to create these items of clothing that are 100% naturally made from country, or they have been made from the fractures that exist upon it. So we live in a fractured nation, and I feel last year those fractures actually really became quite visible. And out of those fractures came us, and I don't know where we're going to go in the future, but I feel like now is the time for us to be seen, because if we're going to be heard, we need to be seen, because they need to see us for all the beauty that we have.
Your next T-shirt, right, your next line, your next print needs to be, if you haven't already done this, and don't copy you fellas, all right? This is trademarked on this show, this idea, and if you do copy us, we're coming for you. We'll sue you.
I'll get my sister to do it.
How can they hear us when they can't see us? That's got to be on a T-shirt. Love it.
I actually said it to the models at the Country to Couture runway show that we just did last week up in Darwin. So I showcased with 20 designers from across the country, 15-piece collection, and Country to Couture actually as an opportunity for younger models to learn about the industry and get experience on runways. And we were asked to address them and explain about our pieces before they wore them. And I asked them to think about the 1,000 generations of women that have birthed for them to be here today, and how they want 1,000 generations down the line of their descendants to feel as powerful black matriarchs walking on our own land, and to walk down that runway like that. and it was really emotional, actually. I had those young girls come up to me afterwards and thank me
They
for
felt
the
it. They felt it.
They felt it in the pieces, yeah.
They felt something they probably never felt before.
Because, when we were dancing when we were young, and back when we were doing it, it wasn't like nowadays. I really feel like our parents and our generation and the generation beforehand, our generation as children, because it was our parents that did it, they carved out a space where they made them see us. They made them see us. Mm-hmm. And we took our culture and our song and our dance, and we took it to places where the reception wasn't always that great. We weren't actually always met with applause and oh, this is wonderful, It was...
Yeah, you didn't always have an audience. Yeah. Except for family.
Yeah, exactly,
They always show up.
But when we paint up and we put on our dance gear, for me that always felt like a shield, like I'm protected, like no matter what happens outside in that other world, I'm walking in my spirit in this moment, and I am so protected by all my old people, and I try to put that into the pieces that I create. And after I yarned with the girls and they put the pieces on, it was their first dress rehearsal, and they walked down the runway. I had them coming up to me and crying afterwards, saying that they just felt strong and powerful when they wore it and shielded. And for me, if I can give that feeling to these young girls and they
our
feel...
little sisters, our nieces, our daughters,
our future mothers.
Our grannies. Yeah.
And they're the future mothers, And culturally, like when I'm an old girl, them young girls, they're going to be my small mums, and, my little sisters and my big sisters, it switches the other way. Because as we get older, we become younger and they become older and they got to look after us. So
it's such a beautiful description of our culture, and that's what saddens me about this country is that, and we don't have to worry about non-Aboriginal people or white Australians or non-Indigenous Australians, but they've missed out on so much. They've missed out on this amazing gift that we're still willing to share with them.
Or constantly trying to share.
Yeah.
Constantly trying to share.
Yeah.
And if people could open their eyes, they could see it. If they could see it, they'd be able to open their binang so that they can hear it.
And then feel it. Mm. Yeah, and it will be a feeling that they've never felt before. A lot of non-Aboriginal people say, a lot of white fellas say that they don't have this sense of belonging, or they don't feel like they belong anywhere. And I said, because you've never been welcomed into the country. Mm. Black fellas can give you that sense of belonging that you can only get from our mob, right? From our people from this country. That's still available, not to everyone, but we're still here.
Well, you got to come in a good way, and you might get it.
Got to come in a good way.
Yeah.
And here in this place, the Wurundjeri mob, they talk about Wominjenka. And it's not greetings. The mob I delivered training to yesterday said, oh, yeah, that means hello. And I'm like, well, actually, no. So I had Sue-Ann Hunter, Commissioner Hunter, on the podcast, and she said to me, it means to come with purpose. And when the people that you meet are good people, and we take them in and we show them the way, and then we make them part of our community.
That's right. And we grew up with an open door policy.
That's exactly.
Open front door, open fridge door, everybody welcome.
Open fridge door, open back door.
Yep.
Window, someone come through the window.
Yeah, that wasn't unusual. you.
So what are you going to do with this Country to Couture, Darwin Art Fair, these awards you got nominated for? Like, what's happening now?
Should I rattle it all off? Because I feel like, it's a bit thing,
It's a bit of it's not an overnight success, all right? You might have thought Samala's, doing this and working here and running meetings and off back to country. In the meantime, you're doing thousands of hours of work. Like, this is hand sewing, beading. I watched you with Tiger Lily, and how you set your weaving up. You've got these big things, and it's all, and I just thought, I don't have the patience for this. And we're in Cairns, we're on holidays for my 40th. And Tiger Lily just kept saying to me, take me back to Arnie's house. But it was my birthday. I'm like, I thought we were going to spend the day together. She didn't want to spend the day with me.
She got more patience than you.
She got way more patience than me. But she was loving every minute of watching you and learning from you.
And that's the magic, you know, she's very special in that sense. Like I sit down with the kids as much as I can to try and teach them and pass it on. And, you know, not everybody's a weaver. Some people don't have the patience for it. But when you come across a little girl that is as talented and as deeply enthralled by it, that she sat there with me for hours.
Oh, all night?
Yeah.
Didn't she sleep over?
Yes.
Tiger Lily won't sleep at anyone's house. She's in my bed, still in my bed at 8. And she didn't come home.
We swapped kids. You took my sisters.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Narrowee.
Yep, you took Narrowee.
Love you, my little titter.
Oh, baby. Speaking of Narrowee though, so I've got to do a shout out to my little sister because the last 10 days I have spent up on Latakia country, and that's her country. And so
she's a Mills.
She's a Mills, that's right. So Auntie Junie Mills. And so yesterday I went and seen Arby, and I dropped off all of my new line because this is a thing as well.
Just gonna seriously, I that's what I'm gonna wear. I'm gonna put my laptop in this bag today, and I did have the whale shirt, like this whale. When you say your new line,
so my new line was actually meant to come from a manufacturer, but it was a late delivery, so it didn't arrive in time. So that. My entire collection was everything handmade, grassroots, cultural couture, totally bespoke, hand beaded, woven, and
a lot of labour, a lot of love.
A lot of labour. Probably about, over the last 3 months, I spent probably about 250 hours of just weaving and beading. I tried to keep a count on each piece that I did. So every piece that I do comes with story. And I only launched my label in October last year, so it's been 10 months. And it's been a domino effect. So within 3 days of me launching the label, I was invited to Melbourne Fashion Week to showcase on the Gambumara runway. They rang me and they were like, do you have 8 pieces you could show on the runway next week? And I was like, yep.
How you do it? Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I didn't, but I did by that next week. And
wow.
So I showcased there, and amazingly, I had Thelma Plum's stylist reach out to me, and I then created a piece for her to wear when she performed at Coldplay's sold-out concert in WA.
I saw all the pics.
She just looked absolutely amazing. Shout out to Thelma as well, sis. You're just divine.
We love you, Thelma.
We love you, Thelma. But we don't talk about it. And then so not long after that, I was invited to Global Indigenous Runway with Melbourne Fashion Festival, New York Fashion Week, the Country to Couture Runway, and a few others that I can't talk about just yet. And I think
watch your space, people.
As a one-woman show, you know, like it's me. I make everything. I built my website myself. I do everything myself, and I was yarning with my mum about it, and I was just kind of like, you know, I just feel like some days maybe I'm not worthy to be in the space. And my mum turned around and just said to me, Marla, you might feel like you're behind, but when it comes to you doing this, you've been doing this for 30 years. You know, you've been, ever since you were a little girl, you've been pulling apart string and pulling things apart and putting them together and making clothes. And you might feel like you're behind, but you're actually laps ahead. Yeah, so you've got to have faith in yourself and just let yourself create. Because I've never really had the time to really sit down. Yeah, I'm always going and going.
Of course.
And so just in this last year, seeing what's come out of that is pretty amazing.
And I see you found love. Stop.
Oh my gosh, you pulled me out. Oh, yes, I did. I found myself a lovely southern
You've been looking for this
man.
fella. Or not really. You was hard on it, man. You were very carefree, didn't want, roam the country, doing you.
Yeah.
And the next minute, loved up, shacked up?
I met him at my runway show. I haven't told you how I met him. Here we go. Everybody going to find out how I met him. I met him at my runway show. I just finished dressing the models and had to put my dress on because they walked the designers out. So I went into the model room, I put on my dress, I come out and I'm standing there and I can feel someone staring at me, I look around, nothing. I still feel it, I look around and then I see this beautiful man standing there in a tuxedo, mind you. Beautiful black man in a tuxedo, holding a larawa, didgeridoo. It's just like, I looked at him and he was...
Is this real? This cannot be real.
And you know what this means to me, right? I know you know how that's calls out to me from my childhood. And anyway, I see this man and he's staring at me like dead intent. And when a man is looking at you and he's sleazy, he'll look at you and he'll kind of do that kind of thing, raise his eyebrows or whatever, or thing when he's got that whole, I'm deadly. Or... they'll look down and look away, because they got caught looking at you.
Some tips here for young ones.
Yeah, take note, fellas. We know what you do.
We can read you from a mile away.
Well, what struck me with him, he just swept me off my feet, I guess, from the get-go, is he did neither. He did neither. He looked me dead in my eyes and he walked straight over to me and he goes, "My name's Paul Kelly."
Literally, Paul Kelly.
Paul Kelly.
Yes. Not the white Paul Kelly.
The black Paul Kelly.
Yeah.
But they got the same birthday.
Big shout out to Paul Kelly.
Yeah.
To both of you.
At my runway show, because I put his name down on the door, I had him ringing me up and they were like, "Are you bringing Paul Kelly?"
And you got to keep saying, "It's the black Paul Kelly." I love this.
Literally, like when we went, because I dressed Emily Woodamara for the NEFA's National Indigenous Music Award, NEMA's up in Darwin. We had the fashion awards and the music awards, NEMA's
at the same time.
2 days apart.
How good's that though? Come to Darwin and we get them all done at the same time.
Literally, Darwin.
All right, that's next year. I'm coming.
You've got to come to Darwin from about the 20th of July until about the 12th of August, because it's
put that date in your diary. All right. 20th of July to 12th of August, that's when we need to be in Darwin.
It's when you need to be in Darwin.
Yeah, we will get so many people on this podcast.
Here, look, Emily, she went and put down, because I was her stylist and I dressed her for the event, but Paul was coming with us and she put him down as her security and we were having a little giggle on the way to the event because it was just like, they're going to be like, why is Paul Kelly being Emily Woodamara's security? But yeah, he's just a beautiful man. I love how
black humour, like just black fellas will get things like that.
I love it.
So Emily Woodamara is coming on this podcast. We're going to do virtual because we can't get to the same place. She's here Friday, I leave Wednesday. We're both in Melbourne and we're missing each other. So, sister girl, we've been trying to get this yarn happening.
My daughter, it's going to happen. She called me mum.
I love this one.
I love it. She's my big daughter. I'm a small mummy. Culturally, and I love that about our mob too, how we might live in a modern context, but we still operate on our kinship terms of reference and, try and keep that as strong as possible and that respect in that good way too.
Oh, my God. Marla, I can't stop thinking of how far you've come, and you probably still think every day. When you had that yarn with your mum, and you kind of, the pressure of being in business, the pressure just trying to keep your head above the water in this pretty tumultuous world, this world that we're living in right now. There's so much uncertainty, so there's even more pressure of being self-employed. Like, I can't imagine doing everything right now in this kind of the world we're living in now is very different to 10 years ago. It's very different from a year ago. Yeah. And I just hope that, with our old people guiding us, and my husband, Peace, always says this to me. I've doubted myself at least maybe once or twice a week. I'll work on something and say, I can't do it. Why have I committed? And Peace will always say to me, them old people, they're not going to let you fail. Yep. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep pushing yourself. This is how far you've come, and I've got to keep trusting in my old people. And Annie Lila always said that too. She said, geez, our old people are deadly. Look how far we've come. We thank them all the time for our achievements, our success, the fact that we've got this energy still, we've still got that fire in our belly, and that's them.
They showed us, they taught us, they paved that way for us. And without them, we wouldn't be here. And,
of course.
And that is a given. But I also have to acknowledge on this podcast right now, you and your sisters and everything that you have done for me in my life. I would not be who I am. I would not be where I am if it wasn't for all of you, or every single one of you have all picked me up at some
all
point.
9 of us.
All 9 of you in different ways.
We've all got this different relationship with you.
Yeah. And you know, like we were bonded as children. We went, you know, we danced together, we cried together, we played together.
We've mourned,
we've fought
grieved,
together.
We've fought. Not over man.
Nah, never over man, no way. But, you know, like our mamas raised us right.
Yes.
Definitely. And, you know, but I feel the matriarchy, the sisterhood, the tittlehood, that's what MumRed is about. It's about celebrating us as women, the way we look after each other, the way we hold each other, the way we hold each other's babies. It's a reclamation of our sovereignty, not just as Black people on our land, but as women. It's a reclamation of our sovereignty over ourself, over our bodies, over our autonomy, our self-determination. Because as women, we are the backbones of our communities. That's been proven testament to me just in my journey, just in my life, just through watching my sister girls. Watching you, my sis, you are one of my biggest inspirations.
I love you.
I watched you go from strength to strength and overcome absolutely everything that has been thrown your way. And I can only hope that I can navigate myself through this newly found self-employed business world I'm in.
Self-employed business world. You got this, sis, I got you.
Yeah. Love you, my sis.
And we've got to just keep on supporting any of the younger generation, even older generation, that are just going to give this a go. It's the most scariest thing to just not have that security, not have that paycheck coming every week. No super, no leave, no sick, there's nothing there, right? Until you get to a point where you can now start paying yourself, then you kind of got to go, all right, I've made it. But that's just paying yourself. Then you need that support as you grow.
And then there's the industry that you're in too. So like stepping out of native title, being in that, fighting for country, for cultural preservation, you know, environmental protection, the resource industry, government, bloody transport, main roads, all the rest of it. And then stepping into the fashion industry, it seems quite frivolous and almost like a luxury, especially with what we're facing. But I felt last year that so many of our mob's voices were silenced within the referendum debate, that this is actually, yes, it's an expensive, it's a rich man's game getting into fashion. It doesn't pay well being a designer until you get picked up by a big, you know, until you get a collaboration or something. And for me, it's about the ethics of the brand as well. Like, I'm not going to collaborate with someone if they've got children in a sweatshop making their clothes. Like, that's just doesn't fit with my worldview and where I want the world to go either. So it's about standing strong in your principles and knowing that you're getting a message out there on that platform. And if you can get that message out, get that representation, then maybe we'll be able to, I'm going to pause myself here, if we can convince one non-Indigenous person, get them to see what it's like for us, well, then they can go and convince 10 more people a lot easier than we can.
That's exactly it. So we need to kind of, to some degree, we're investing in our allies. That one person is usually the one who's already connected, supporting us, been around, that can go and tell 10 friends, 10 of their family.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, and I know this is going to, this is what I've just found, you know, like, it takes so much energy for us to bring an ally over to our side of the fence because it's emotionally taxing for us. It's literally the world we live in, and we're just trying to pull back the curtain so that they can see it and get a glimpse of it. for them to go and introduce people and explain to them what we go through and to pull back that curtain. It's not an emotionally taxing ordeal for them. It doesn't hurt their heart and their spirit. So if we can do the work with one person, it has a domino effect out. It's a ripple. It ripples out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're saving some of that energy for ourselves then.
Yeah.
For what we need to do.
Which is what we, honestly, otherwise we just burn ourselves out.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I can't wait to get you back for part 2. I told you. We're going to be yarning again. Let's call this part 1, Clint, and then come back.
Yeah.
When we're back in we'll go dive into the achievements, the Vogue magazine. There's more. I'm going to get to a bloody client. I'm going to try and hustle in Melbourne peak hour traffic and not be late for this client. But my sister, it was an absolute pleasure, privilege, honour to have you on this couch for my audience to now know who MumRed the Label is, and you better get behind my sister. Support her, reach out, connect, follow. You might see some of this merch on MumRed's website, and make sure that you tag her and me when you start repping this stuff. So I love you, my sister. Keep going. Keep doing it.
Thank you, my
Don't
sister.
give up. You mob, I always say this. I hope you've enjoyed, and I know you enjoyed this deadly yarn. Until next time, bye for now. If you'd like any more info on today's guest, please visit our show notes in the episode description. A big shout out to all you Deadly Mob and allies who continue to listen, watch and support our podcast. Your feedback means the world. You can rate and review the podcast on Apple and Spotify, or even head to our socials and YouTube channel and drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. The Black Magic Woman podcast is produced by Clint Curtis.